it was like opening up like this, and she's like putting it up to her, and it's eating her out.
I need a flower to eat me out. Meet me on Cam Soda.
Exactly.
Oh.
Mom! I've been waiting for you. Do you rub balls like me? Magical, mystical balls. Are you ready for a reading from me? I'll fry your fish and mine. The 5 of Burlington, you'll buy a nice coat. The 10 of Subway, footlong down your throat.
Wait, what's going on? What are you doing? Is this a spell?
With the 20 of Jack and the 30 of Dell, you'll eat like a creature on your way to hell. Dinner salads and saccharin, hordes of fat cats. Call in the district manager wherever they're at. Dolls and daddies, babies in quandary, let there be complaints and corporate apologies fondly. And those who are very, wherever you dwell, pick your hill and I'll stand with you and yell, it's very scary Delta!
Do you like peaches? How about Christ? I hope you do, because today's guest is a cult leader. It's Peaches Christ.
Thank you.
Hi.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited you're here. This is, you're alive all the time, but this is really a season for you. You are obviously not just somebody who just downright loves Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
In many ways, you are a cult leader because you're a producer of this genre. What makes you so excited about Halloween?
It's definitely, we know that it's like the national queer holiday, right?
Yep.
Like Christmas for, heterosexuals is Halloween for queers. And it's, I think, because we got to dress up and we got to live our fantasy as kids. But in addition to that, I've just always liked macabre, spooky, dark, morbid things from the time I was a kid. So basically my adult life is kind of like acting out my childhood fantasies. I just kind of now am an adult who tries to, make a living doing it.
Yeah. Can you remember, like, as a kid, Halloween costumes that stand out in your mind?
Yeah. I was obsessed with this haunted house that was, I grew up in Maryland, and we spent all our summers in Ocean City, Maryland. And there was this haunted house called Morbid Manor, and this was the 80s. Like, so all the punk rock goth kids that worked there were teenagers, and I was a kid and I was obsessed with them. And they wore these sort of black, it was actually kind of like this. But it was black, like a ghoul robe with a hood. And they kind of painted their faces to look like Kiss or, Alice Cooper or whatever. And I thought they were great. So as a little kid, I was a Morbid Manor worker for many Halloweens.
Really?
Yeah, I would dress up as if I worked there. And then, this is how twisted I am, I used to sneak into the haunted house, hide a mask in my back pocket, hide where they couldn't see me, the other workers, put on the mask, and then stay there for as long as I could, jumping out and scaring people.
Until somebody figured it out.
Yes. They'd be like, there's a kid working in here. And people would be like, what? And they'd come and get me and throw me out. Then they kind of got to know me.
Do you like scaring people, terrorizing people?
Yeah.
What would you call that? Pranks? Do you like pranks?
I like it when someone's really easy to scare, so they don't have to do there's not a lot of effort to it. Jinx Monsoon is the easiest person in the world to scare. To the point where you could just turn quickly and like she's having a heart attack, So I've done a lot of pranks on her, where I've hidden in rooms and jumped out and stuff like that.
Right. I feel like sometimes the scariest thing is the simplest thing, right?
Yeah.
So generally you can go, I can explain that away. But what if you can't explain it away, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So people saying the old wives' tale of like being afraid of the dark.
Mm-hmm.
There is something to fear in a way because it's just the unknown. What scares you?
Oh, that's a good question. So I think this is going to maybe be more sincere than you like, but it's like, I think a lot of us who are attracted to horror and scary stuff typically are really sensitive. We're really empathetic people. And so the real world frightens us.
Sure.
And so horror and kind of going to haunted attractions and going to horror movies or creating this stuff is actually our way of dealing with the shit show of the world. So, growing up, I was really afraid of things like war. As dumb as that sounds, it's like that terrified me. So I'm not so afraid of Freddy Krueger because that was like a safe place for me to deal with things, So war, religion, these are the things that scare me.
Well, because you've experienced it. I
Yeah.
mean, we've seen it through similar eyes generationally.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, like I even think of everything that's happening now. I feel so separated from younger people, but at the same time, I look at it and I'm like, I don't think I could be young right now.
That's true.
I don't think I could do what young people are doing right now.
In many ways, I feel like, for years, I thought to myself, oh my God, these young people don't really know what it was like to grow up queer as a Gen Xer and be surrounded by AIDS, right?
Right.
Like that was so horrifying and so dark and so awful. And I used to think like, "Oh, I'm so glad. I'm ultimately glad that they have it better, that they get to sort of, live in a freer world. And now I'm going, oh no. Not at all. They've
Right.
been handed the show of all shows. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know what the future even looks like for ourselves, but let alone a young person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I can remember, I think I've talked about before, like when Tu Wong Fu, the movie came out,
Mhm.
nobody was up in arms.
Right.
It was just a movie. And I can, sure, looking at it in eyes now, I look back and I think, oh, it would be great if there were queer people playing these queer roles. But at the time and place that happened, it was pretty magical.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool to see these stars take on these roles and do them really fun.
Yeah.
And now it's like, even if you were to put queer people in those roles, there's not a lot of people that would allow that. But like you work as a producer producing this kind of content, and you bring into this not just legendary people that everyone has admired forever, but up and coming people that really identify with this. How do you decide who's coming to a project that you work on?
The biggest thing is like, I was a fan of so much of this stuff that I get to celebrate or that's inspired me.
Mhm.
So my podcast is about cult movies, and we literally just talk about movies I love. It doesn't feel like work to me. It's actually really joyful. In fact, it's not really work because I don't really make any money doing it. But,
Right.
but it's a joy to do it, right? And with the live events, for years, it astounded me that I could invite someone like Mink Stoll, who I grew up worshiping. I mean, I grew up in Maryland. The discovery of those movies changed my life. I mean, that's not that, it's true. It really changed who I am. And so when I invited her to come and do a show, it blew me away that she would actually attend.
Mhm.
And, she kind of opened this gateway for me to invite more people that inspired me. And when I started working with, I guess what you would call like the marquee value drag superstars, thanks to a certain TV show that made people so popular and so famous, I typically invited the people who I was like, I am a fan of theirs.
Sure.
And I want to create a show for them. I want to create something, most of my shows, I don't really want to be the lead. I enjoy actually writing and creating something, for someone else.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's so important to have that vision and be able to follow it through. And because you are somebody who is in love with what you do, you can see every single aspect. It's not, I don't know, sanitized
That's
in the
true.
way that so many things are, where people are like, just outsource that. Somebody else does that. That's somebody else's job. You like to be involved in every aspect of it. And that's what makes it so rich and so good. Terror Vault.
Yes.
We have to talk about Terror Vault.
Yeah, Terror Vault is your old school 80s JC's haunted attraction mashed up with sort of immersive theater, the kind of thing like Sleep No More in New York. But
Right.
it's trashy and it's fun and it's queer and it's scary, but it's a 60-minute theatrical experience that you walk through, and it's got scare mazes, but it's also got actors who are doing lines from, a script that I write. So I think of it as creating a new movie every year.
I love that. I love that. You were just talking, well, we were talking off camera about Not Scary Farm
Yes.
and going to Not Scary Farm.
Yes.
I think people have a nostalgia. There's something that, if there's an escape. And so as an adult, we don't typically go trick-or-treating.
Right.
But that is something that we can do, is when we go to these sort of attractions, it takes us away from what's happening in the real world, the things that we are scared of. And it lets us go somewhere and be kids.
Absolutely.
And have fun.
And there's a cathartic release. Like the overlap between horror and comedy is so big because we actually, and we're not really valued, right? Like the things that win awards are the ones that make you cry.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I get that. That's important and special, and we all need a good cry. But we also need to fucking laugh.
Right.
You know, and a great comedy can be really healing. And the same thing for horror. Often horror is providing another need, whether it's to go on that journey of being afraid, but like it's something like Not Scary Farm, you're screaming, you know, they jump out and scare you, but you know it's make-believe, so you crack up.
Right.
You know, and you leave there feeling like a little bit better because of that, you know, adrenaline, the serotonin. So adults have these sort of playgrounds now, you know, that are different than they were. And I think it's because we need them more than we used to.
Yeah. No, I think that's 1,000% true. I feel like I'm thinking about you saying that hiding until they figured out that you weren't supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
Is there a store that you would go to now and pretend that you're an employee of? Would you pretend to be an employee at Walmart?
No.
No.
You know, it's funny. I'm really at the point now where I'm just so nauseated by I mean, I know we talk about this a lot,
Mhm.
but with everything that's going on now, it's like I am doing my best to shop small and to use, you know, local queer artisans and to all that stuff. And Walmart, it's like, oh my God, you know, they were one of the big examples of how to like people over.
Mhm.
Like, here's a family who's so successful living the American dream. The way to do it, don't pay people a living wage.
Right.
You know, and steamroll all over the small businesses that existed in these little towns all across the country. And we didn't stop it. You know, I shopped there, you know, I order from Amazon. I do all those things. But it's like, oh my God, is it too late? You know, but I'm trying to do my little part. So I'm trying to think, what store would I want to work in? I mean, honestly, I think it'd be fun to work in a bathhouse. You know what I mean? Like not all the time, but like for
No,
a
all the
night or two.
time.
But you know,
No, all the time.
It's kind of like a haunted attraction. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if depending on, you know, who's there, it can be kind of scary and exciting. And,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, and those haunt actors are allowed to touch you, you know, so, and they're
they
allowed to
are.
touch you in your bathing suit areas.
And they are, a lot of them, very ghoulish.
Yes, they are. But I like it. Oh my God. You know, call me old school, but you know, I think working at I mean, my senior thesis film in college was called Jizz Mopper. So,
Right.
you know, so clearly I'm not opposed to the stench of cum on the floor.
What about, have you ever been in like a neighborhood and parked your car and gotten out and thought, it smells like cum?
Yes.
Wait, is that pepper trees? What is that?
I don't
smell?
know, but we should find out because I think if you're a connoisseur of cum, like you and I are,
Right.
there is this bloom that happens where we know it, but I mean, we need to know more about it. Someone out there, I bet, knows what that tree is or what that flower is, but it's
Yeah.
definitely a cummy smell.
Because I've always lived suburban Southern California. And so I know when the guavas are in season, I can smell those. And I don't really love guava, but I know what it smells like. But the cum trees.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pepper tree.
Speaking of guava, because I know you and I like to, we eat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you talk about food on the show, which I love your show, by the way. I
Thank
just love it.
you.
I love your insights. And and where Knott's is, what is that called? Is that Anaheim? I don't even know.
Buena Park.
Buena Park.
Mhm.
There is a Cuban bakery called Porto's.
Mhm.
Oh my God. So see, like supporting something that's not a massive chain. I just thought that guava, whatever that thing is, it's a guava tart or something.
Uh-huh.
Have you had that?
I haven't had
Oh,
it. No. I have to tell
girl.
you that Porto's is always so busy.
Yes.
People love it.
It's
People
worth
love it.
There's a reason.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of sweets and candy, I have a question for you. I have a
Yes.
few things here.
Okay.
Do you like just regular peach candy, just peaches?
I do. Yeah, I like that candy.
Soft and fruity.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like me.
Have you ever put that in your bio?
No, but I should.
I mean,
It's another, yeah.
or would you be a peach ring with tahini?
Wow.
That could be interesting.
So I probably, you know, now that, because Mexico is like my favorite place to go,
Mhm.
if we can get away, it's like, let's get to Mexico. We even went and hid there for a while, you know, during the pandemic, like where we just lived. We sheltered in place. And so tahini was not something I grew up with. I grew up with Old Bay seasoning.
I love Old Bay.
Oh, I keep a jug of it in our, you know, San Francisco apartment and use it on any seafood and some other things. But tahini is also very special,
Right.
especially on fruit. So I think I would choose that.
You would choose that.
Mhm.
Would you put Old Bay on a peach?
Yeah, I think I
You
would like a
might?
roasted peach.
Oh, on
Yeah.
a roasted peach, that would be
Yeah.
good. Now, I'm more of a savory person.
Mhm.
but I do love sweets. If you're not going to do peach, would you do the body of Christ?
Like a cracker?
Well, like the host, like in Catholic Church.
Oh, yeah. The Eucharist?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that is another thing that I used to like. Sometimes I wonder, I was like, am I fucked up? I mean, I know I'm fucked up because
Yes,
I
you
grew up
are.
Catholic. Yes. I mean, clearly, it's like my whole career
We're
has
both
been,
very fucked up.
Yeah. So, so did you grow up Catholic?
I did.
Okay. So did you, like, I feel like, the wine and the Eucharist were like the things I looked forward to the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked him putting it in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, you could have the choice to do this or just open your mouth and have the man put it in there. And I always chose that option. But sometimes I think, like, is that where my food obsession and alcoholism kicked in? Because I loved that. I loved the Eucharist and the wine.
Did they always do that at Mass, or because I only got that in the rectory?
Wait. No, they always, at every Catholic Mass, they serve Eucharist.
I thought that was always a private thing. Whatever.
Yeah.
We still got it, right?
I mean, we both, grew up Catholic. I'm sure we have many fondled memories of those
Many
times.
fondled memories. These are for you.
Oh, thank you.
To have later,
oh my
or to
God,
throw
I'm
in the
excited.
trash.
What's funny about this and the coloring is I never realized how much peach candies fit with a Halloween,
They do.
display, right? Like,
They
that's
do.
perfect.
Oh.
I thought you were going to give me candy corn.
You can't do it.
No, I'm not. Well, I'm fine with candy corn. Actually, the things that I'm baffled by, and I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but they were black and orange sort of peanut butter taffies.
With wax.
Yes, with the wax paper.
There's something about them. It's kind of like, why are these?
They're off.
What do these do?
Who made those? You feel like they don't have any like markings on them. It's like some witch somewhere.
It is some witch.
Yeah.
Because it's not. There is no. This was the brand. Like
Right.
Brock's was
No.
a brand, or
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
always
a
think
mystery.
about? In here, there's Twizzlers.
Yeah.
I like Twizzlers just fine. I like Red Vines more.
I was going to say, you grew up in California.
Uh-huh.
So I grew up on the East Coast. So
Okay.
there is a big divide. And I ran movie theaters for many years before, that's the only real job I had. And Twizzlers versus Red Vines is a real coastal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it comes down to where you grew up.
Well, I always feel like Twizzlers taste like they were almost supposed to be a Barbie.
Oh.
There's just like it just tastes like plastic.
I know what you mean,
But I
like the
like
way
it.
that dolls were scented.
Yes.
It has that. I get that. Yeah,
But
totally.
I love it. Wait, let me ask you a question, because you're a real live movie theater person.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I order popcorn at the movies,
Yeah.
I probably don't want the fresh popcorn
Uh-huh.
because it seems like it's still steamed and chewy. I feel like I want the popcorn that's kind of contracted a little bit. Is that
Okay.
true?
No, I don't think so. I
Okay.
actually think I think there's a sweet spot.
Okay.
And if the popcorn has sat too long, especially if the warmer is not set properly.
Okay.
So, popcorn machines at a movie theater, you've got the kettle and you pop it, you put the oil in, you put the corn in, it pops, it swirls around, it pours out over the sides. It's that wonderful smell that we love
Mhm.
so much. And then in the bin, there should be a warmer that's sending up hot air through grates in the bottom.
Okay.
And what I've noticed is some of these cheap ass cinemas, kind of just don't repair their warmers. And if that popcorn's been sitting there, even for like 10 or 15 minutes, it will start to get stale. So there's something about powering the warm air through it that actually keeps it fresh. So I don't know what the answer is. It kind of depends on what the situation is. Do you want to hear something disgusting?
Yes.
Okay. So when I ran a movie theater, the warmer had underneath it, a tray that came out, and that's where all the old maids were collected. Have you ever heard of the old maids? Are the kernels that are kind of popped but not really
I
popped?
love those.
Yeah, we call those old maids. But
I've never heard that.
apparently it comes from they've never been popped. I don't know if that's true or not. I know it's kind of like
You just blew my mind.
yeah, they're old
I
maids.
love this.
They've never been
Old
popped.
maids.
So we would pull out the tray and eat the old maids, because
Okay.
they were tasty, like you say.
Yes.
So it's a thunderstorm, not a thunderstorm, but like a rainstorm in San Francisco. And there's an older employee and he comes in and he's sopping wet and he's like, oh my God, I don't have a change of clothes. So I help him get some clothes and we get him dressed and he's working there. And I go at the end of the night to get some old maids.
His clothes were in there.
His socks and underwear had been sitting in that warmer all night long with the warm air just being pushed through those socks and underwear. And this is not someone whose socks you'd want to smell. And we served that popcorn all night long.
free Old Bay seasoning on your popcorn.
Yeah, Old Gay seasoning is more like it.
Let's take a break. Are you looking to make your 2026 Very Delta? I hope you are, because the Very Delta calendar is back and on sale now. Fry the small fish with me all year long in this full-color luxury piece of art for your wall. The Very Delta calendar features 12 unforgettable screenshots from the show and some special dates, messages, and tips from yours truly. Purchase your calendar today at everybodysaymom.merchtable.com. It's time to make your 2026 Very Delta. We are back with Peaches Christ talking about old maids.
Yes.
You know, whenever I look back at some of the like films that you've done, the projects that you've worked with, you really, when I say you're a cult leader, it's really not a stretch, because loving Halloween, loving scary time, as people say, it was spooky season. For some people, it is spooky season.
Right.
But for some people, it's all year round. Yeah. It's in your heart, you know?
Yeah.
And you are somebody that has these people choose to work with you because they know that you have the integrity, and you've surrounded yourself with people who have integrity.
Mm-hmm.
People that many of us have had little glimpses of working with, like Heklina, Jinx and Ben, like just people that other people admire. And so when names like Cassandra Peterson come in here, Mink Stoll, it says something, because there are quote unquote bigger names, as people like to say, that could never. How does that feel to have cultivated that?
Oh, that's so lovely. It's a really lovely question. And I think that, and I think as you get older, you kind of think about these things, especially with the world being so crazy. And I'm so filled with gratitude around all the generosity that people have offered me. But I think one of the keys to it is I've never held back on showing my affection, my fandom, my, just sheer love. I've never really played it cool, if that makes sense. So if I'm excited by something someone's done or they've inspired me, I mean, when I say I've sent those people the gushiest letters,
Sure.
I sent Mink a 3-page letter. I sent John Waters probably a 10-page letter. These are the things where I sometimes say to young people, tell your idols how you feel. Let them know the impact they've had on your life. And same thing with the drag colleagues or anyone who inspires me, really. I think part of it's just showing your, appreciation, your affection. And the other thing is appreciation goes a long way. If you can't pay people what they're worth, which often I've not been able to, because I'm not rolling in dough, the thing that I can do is really show gratitude and really credit people with the work that they bring to the table.
Right. I love that. I love it. It's true. I mean, when I say there's so many people out there that just could never, because people aren't interested, the gratitude goes a long way. And also being like-minded and knowing that you really are passionate about something. So it says to someone, yeah, I'll do that. I want to do that.
Yeah. But the cult leader part, I think sometimes for me is I'm all those people in the audience in many ways. And I'm sort of a channel for their love, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So last year I got to do a tribute for Tim Curry, and I was beside myself. Even at this point, having met so many idols, befriended so many people I grew up loving, the idea that I was going to share a stage with Tim Curry and for 90 minutes put on a giant tribute with him there, right? I feel like in that moment when I'm sitting on the stage and I'm talking to him the way you and I are talking, all the people in the audience are vicariously living through me, because I'm not trying to be some cool peer of Tim Curry's. I am the obsessed fan. I'm the one saying, you were my It Gets Better video. You changed my life. You made things better for me. And so the audience sees me maybe as a little bit of a cult leader only because I'm a representative and because, religion and other things have failed them. So we turned to cinema and pop culture. That became our religion. So coming together to share fellowship for these things that we love, there is this sort of spiritual component. And it's why I say, going to the movies is different than watching a movie at home. And certainly going to a movie you love with a group of people who also love it, especially if it's a little transgressive, that's important. That's community. That's fellowship.
Absolutely. That's true. I feel like, even just going back to Halloween in general, when I came up, I was just raised to love Halloween. We always had costumes. Everybody made their costumes. It was super fun. We would trick or treat with a pillowcase, all of that. But I also, because we came from so little money, respected this idea that everybody can appreciate Halloween on a different level. So there were people that would maybe not have a costume, but they wanted to participate. They would have like a little something.
Right.
To me, if you want to participate on whatever level, get in here. Get in here. There's room for people to have the most elaborate things that they've created or they bought or whatever. And then there's people that are like, I don't really know, but I've got a hat. Bring it.
I think that is the access to it is part of what makes it so magical. And you were lucky, I have to say, because young people who grew up in Southern California grew up in basically, I think, the Halloween capital of the country. I mean, everyone thinks it's New England and Salem, and certainly it is to some degree. But I think a lot of people don't realize, like, oh no, Southern California, specifically this whole area and the suburbs and Orange County and all of this, these people are obsessed with Halloween. I mean, drive around Burbank. The decorations are to die for. The home haunting, the families that get into it. And it does, what's the word? It doesn't really matter what your background is or what level of, status you have. Everyone enjoys it.
Right.
Yeah.
What about, have you ever played Marry, Kill?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give you some names.
Oh, Lord.
Hannibal Lecter.
Uh-huh.
Frankenfurter.
Uh-huh.
Art the Clown.
Oh, God. Wow. Okay.
These are good ones.
I mean, I don't know who wouldn't choose Frankenfurter to
Sexy.
I mean, to me, again, to bring back, Tim Curry changing my life, John Waters, Mink Stole. Tim Curry as Frankenfurter is so sexy in this way that's so unconventional, but so legit, that it was just completely inspiring. And you watch that movie and it's just, he just oozes sex. So I would Tim Curry. I would, God, this is really tough. I think I'd have to marry Hannibal, but mostly because of the conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
1000%.
He's going to be able to talk to you about opera. And not that I talk about opera, but maybe
you could learn.
I was gonna say he could teach me. He could like make me an intellectual or something. He could school me on classic music. And then I like Art the Clown a lot. I've actually become I'm late to the game. I've become a fan. How should I say it? I've become a fan of that character very much. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about the movies, which is maybe a controversial take in the horror world. But I am a fan of that slasher and that character. And I think the actor who plays Art the Clown is just brilliant, and it's got this amazing, I totally get why people fall in love with it. Now, the movies have a lot of violence against women. And I think that trope is something that still bothers me a little bit. And so I'm not sure if I love the movies as much as I love Art the Clown, but I'd have to kill Art the Clown.
You have to kill him.
Yeah.
I, going back to Not Scary Farm, that was a place where I learned to not be afraid of clowns and fall in love with clowns. So I used to think that I was scared of clowns until I went into like a very proper, good clown maze that involved lots of like what you would, I guess, no offense to anyone, but like a hillbilly clown, a rodeo clown. And I was like, these aren't just fierce, these are hot.
I was going to say, some people have sexual awakenings in haunted attractions.
Yeah.
This is a real thing that I didn't really buy, but now we've had multiple actors have guests. These actors sometimes look vile, disgusting. We have gored them to filth. And because at Terror Vault, you can wear a red glow necklace where it means you consent to having the actors touch you.
Oh, okay. I like that.
We can electrocute you. You can be pulled away from your, sometimes there's water thrown. I swear at this point, the audience would be fine if I cut their fingers off. People are so desperate for touch and for, that will have an actor, this really scary actor, pull a guest into a room and have a razor blade that they're holding up against their face or whatever and saying they're gonna gut them, and the person gets aroused and starts hitting on the actor like, and it's like, wait, what? And the actors are coming to me going, I'm uncomfortable with the way the guests are treating me. It's like your job is to scare them and you're turning them on.
Right.
So yeah, I was going to ask you because I wondered about your sexual, like how far you've taken it. And some people call people who are into people like you and me clown fuckers.
Right.
And I'm wondering, are you a clown fucker? Like, have you had that experience yet?
I haven't.
Not with drag queens, but I mean like an actual clown.
No, I haven't. Nothing in like a costume or anything like that. I'm not saying that it's not something that I wouldn't have welcomed at some point in my life, but it's just never presented itself.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I mean, maybe not now.
Yeah, I was going to say,
See it, not Scary Farm.
I was going to say, listeners,
clowns,
know any hot clown,
well, our producer Doug here is.
I know, he told me
he works, but he doesn't. He does like something else.
But I bet he knows the clowns.
Oh, he knows them all.
Yeah, Doug, hook her up, hook a girl up. She needs that clown cock.
Hello.
Yeah.
When I look at some of Halloween stuff, obviously we have to embrace the idea of camp.
Yes.
Camp is what sort of connects in many ways the scary with that breaking it into it's okay. It's okay. We're here. We're all present together, right? But then there's like movies that are just so eerie. And so you're like, this kind of is scaring me. For me, a movie like the very first Halloween.
So
it's
great.
So simple.
Yeah.
It's so clear. And for me, it's like the most silent parts are the scariest parts.
Agreed.
Right?
I mean, it's a classic for a reason. It's brilliant. I think a lot of those movies, especially those slasher films like Halloween or A Nightmare on Elm Street, they speak to queer people specifically because the final girl is often not the popular girl. She's often the outsider, the person who was left behind.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah, she's the person who's kind of looking for, a community, and they end up having to fight the monster. Yeah. And so there's this real interesting thing when you start to look at queer horror about why we identify with these films, but we identify with both the monster and the final girl. But Halloween is just genius.
It is. Another movie that scares me, and I feel like every day I think about this because I have no explanation. I have no understanding. My brain just cannot wrap around it. Is I'm frightened by The Shining. I'm frightened by all of the imagery and all of it. But then when I started to realize people are like, well, actually, there's explanations for this, and it could mean this, and it could mean this. And remember, there was a movie out that like sort of
Room 237.
I don't know where to go with it. I'm like, well, what is it? Like, I want to know an answer. And as many people say, the answer's up to you.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
Yeah.
But still, there's part of me that's like, because see, I have a hard time with science fiction or anything that has to do with fake places that don't exist.
Okay.
I can't do it. I need to know the zip code. I need to know what time. I need to know that this could really happen.
Right.
Right. So when I watch The Shining, I'm like, okay, but what really happened? Because people say that this is inspired by a real place.
Yeah.
What am I missing? What's happening?
Well, I think with some of those movies, we have to accept that we're not really supposed to know. And that's part of the thing. Stephen King's such a straightforward storyteller in many ways, but then he'll have something like It or The Shining where it's way more, mysterious and we don't totally know. It's not Carrie. You know exactly what's going on in Carrie. We know exactly what's going on in Misery, especially. But with The Shining, you don't really know how it all works.
Right. I want to know. I want to say, I guess there's just part of me that wants to have control over it and go, I know what this really means. And like you said, maybe you're not supposed to know.
Yeah.
Because then that takes away from all of you don't need to know the probability, but you want to know the possibilities.
Absolutely. I mean, The Shining is a movie. Well, any of these movies that I do a parody show of, I have to watch them over and over and over again. And, you're looking for like, what does a cult audience really love? What are the moments that have to be in there? Obviously, Here's Johnny has to be in there. I did a parody where Varla Jean Merman and I stayed in Provincetown for all of winter. And the idea was that Varla was going to write her new show for the next season, and Peaches was going to try to get ready to audition for Drag Race. So the whole show is about me annoying her because I'm trying to teach myself how to do a death drop, and I'm trying to do a mouth pop, and all of this dumb shit while she's trying to run, right? No offense to Drag Race, but, dumb shit. And I'm supposed to get on Drag Race while she's writing her brilliant show. So she goes crazy and then tries to kill me. watching that movie repeatedly, not only did I not figure it out, a lot of it, I just had to accept that I didn't understand it. Like, the very end when you see him in the photo.
Right.
What does that mean? I don't really know. Someone will tell you one thing and someone else will tell you something else. But it's still an amazing movie and it's still terrifying. And if I can, I'll say that Shelley Duvall is the magic of that movie.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Yes.
And the cigarette itself.
The cigarette. The ash that just never falls.
Her face her face is so expressive all the time.
She is, there's a lot of misogyny in the way that we look at these legendary movies. And, you and I as queens of a certain age, it's like we grew up with camp classics, Valley of the Dolls,
right.
Mommy Dearest. Of course, for me, Showgirls,
1,000%.
Yeah. And these women aren't celebrated for giving these over-the-top, insane camp performances. Yet Jack Nicholson can do The Shining, and if you read the book, it's not quite like that. And it's like the reason Jack's able to be so amazing, and I'm not saying that he's not incredible, he is, but it's because Shelley anchors it with that real terror, with that real fear that makes us believe in Jack's performance and not dismiss it as laughable.
Right.
She's a genius. And a lot of these women, I feel like they should get their flowers now because they were dismissed, because it's like, oh, you're too far. It's like no one said that to Al Pacino in Scarface.
Right.
He was given awards. Shelley Duvall.
So good.
Legendary. And had a very sad, time at the end of her life, right? Like she's one of these people where you go, oh, I hope she knew how much she impacted. I wish I could have, done a show for her. John Waters calls my shows an evening of queer worship. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of what it is. You come and then I'm going to give you 2,000 people who are going to just obsessively cheer for you. Yeah. Shelley deserved that.
And she, as somebody who's so inspiring in so many ways, I remember how much I loved fairy tale theater.
Amazing.
And so even when we were deciding upon what was going to happen here, we were like, it's kind of like fairy tale theater, this little set. So those things run in your brain forever. Even as a kid or whether you saw it in college, wherever you saw any of that, I think it sticks in your brain. And as queer people, you're like, what will I do with that? Could I do something with that? Will I do something amazing with it? Will it just be a nod? Will it be in conversation? Will it be in song? It'll come out somewhere. Those inspirations really do come out.
For me, I was always attracted to, going back to the sort of the final girl, Jamie Lee Curtis obviously is gorgeous, but she wasn't a conventional beauty at the time that Halloween came out. And, when you look at movies like Carrie, and The Shining, what a rich era where the most talented actor, despite not being a conventional A-list Hollywood beauty, would get the part and could be these people. Now that wouldn't happen. It'd be and even when I was writing my own movie, All About Evil, I was thinking about people like Sissy Spacek, who would have been way too old for the role, by the time I was writing it. But those were the kinds of women I was thinking about to play the lead in my movie. I didn't want it to be, a beautiful, gorgeous vixen pretending to be a nerd, And I love that era of the Shelley Duvalls and Sissy Spaceks, and I hope we get back to it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We are back with Peaches Christ. Obviously this show, we're not solving any problems. We're just exacerbating things that aren't really that big of a deal.
We're
to
making
other
them
people.
worse, yeah.
So we fry the small fish. Are there any small fish happening in your life, specific things, or something that you've observed recently that really just needs to be handled?
Obviously movie theater etiquette is something that, I think needs to be addressed these days because...
What's something people are doing?
Oh, God. The phones, obviously.
Oh,
I feel like, one of the great things about going to a movie theater, and I love it, is turning off the world. I wish we could just collectively agree, we're going to turn off. And I actually don't. I love the Alamo Drafthouse. I love cinemas that have, these policies. But on top of that, the Alamo Drafthouse has a thing where they serve food. So I have misophonia. Do you know what that is? Okay, so my brother and sister and I have misophonia, which we didn't know what it was until adulthood. It is a true condition where certain sounds drive us like irrationally insane. I don't think, you know what's interesting? If you know someone's intentionally doing it, it doesn't trigger. Part of it's connected to the fact that the person doesn't know they're doing it.
Okay.
What's horrible is I think it's contagious because now I've noticed my husband, now I think because he knows I'm tuned into the chewing, he now is tuned into the chewing because I'll notice him turning to look at the chewer, you know? So, I mean, we're crazy. It's a crazy thing, but I wish people would, you know, chew with their mouth closed at the movie theater.
So nice.
Yeah. And not talk and, you know, not use their phones.
Are you a popcorn person?
I am. For me, going to the movies and getting a giant Diet Coke from the fountain with a giant bucket of popcorn, that is like such a treat. I still love it.
Yeah, it is super special.
Yeah.
There is nothing like movie theater popcorn. And no microwave popcorn that says movie theater butter is going to taste like, it just doesn't.
It doesn't.
It just doesn't.
No. And you know, okay, this might be, I mean, the theater's closed now, so I'm not going to get in trouble. But my theater, the Bridge Theater, a lot of people don't know that my show Midnight Mass was at the Bridge Theater, but I was actually a very young manager of the theater, and that's how I convinced Landmark Theaters to allow me to do a show called Midnight Mass hosted by Peaches Christ. It was kind of like, they basically were like, yeah, that's not going to work, but sure, if you want to try it, you know. But I was actually running the theater, and one of the things that we, you know, to our acclaim was our award-winning popcorn. We would win. Back then, the alternative weeklies had Best of the Bay, you know, and all the restaurants, and best movie theater popcorn was a category that we won over and over and over again. And now I'm prepared to tell the secret. I intentionally did not have the staff sanitize that kettle every night. So I would leave the crusty, salty, baked on oil in that kettle. It was not because I was lazy. It was because I noticed that when we overcleaned that thing, popcorn didn't taste as good the next day. So you need a seasoned kettle. You know, over cleaning your stuff actually isn't good sometimes for taste and flavor. So we left that kettle dirty.
Ooh, I wish I could have some of that popcorn. I've actually ordered popcorn on DoorDash from movie theaters before.
Really?
And they'll send you a bag. I promise you the bag is like a trash bag. And they'll send you a bottle of that oil.
Wow. Okay, so here's the thing that's kind of sad is that a lot of movie theaters, you know, at the end of the night, you can't really always properly gauge how much to pop.
Sure.
So, you know, a batch or two over is going to be maybe a trash bag, like a big industrial trash bag. And so a lot of times that popcorn is just thrown away at the end of the night. But we used to actually have a group of people, unhoused people, that would come by the theater every night, and we would give the bags of popcorn out.
Love it.
Yeah. And then we would have, now we, you know, still I know a few theaters that's like, if I ask, because I'm theater trash, I always will be. If I ask, like, hey, could we come by and pick up a bag tonight?
Yeah.
And they'll let me. So yeah,
I'll
hook you up.
I would love it.
Yeah.
I'm available for it all the time.
Okay, good.
This is the part of the show that we call Read Me Delta. People send in their letters. They have questions. They make observations sometimes. They never know who's going to be here. I don't get to see these letters until Doug sends them over. Do you have a letter opener?
I do. It's gorgeous. Look at that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I love it.
Read Me Delta!
Dear Delta and Peaches, do you kill flies like me? I don't really enjoy killing flies, but sometimes you have to grab the fly swatter, you know? It makes me think, why is it that we feel comfortable killing a fly, but celebrating a butterfly? Killing a cockroach, but marveling over praying mantis? What makes a bug evil? Anyway, to end my letter, I wanted to share my story with you both. When I was a child, I used to hold funerals for dead flies. Have you ever held a funeral for a fly? Forever yours, Very Eris.
Wow.
That's an interesting observation.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with a mother who, if there was a snake, you know, in the yard, she'd go out and chop its head off, you know.
Okay.
I think she gave me a phobia of snakes. I don't have it so much anymore. Bugs don't bother me as much as they bother other people. But I totally get what the letter's saying. And I was thinking while you were reading, I was like, oh, I have no problem killing a mosquito. You know, if there's a mosquito in the apartment, I will not go to sleep until I find it and kill it. You know, a fly, I might not, you know, expend as much energy on that. Yeah. So although, this is so disgusting. I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but like Terror Vault, the building where we do it. It's this big old Gothic, building. It was the Mint in San Francisco. And sometimes seasonally, flies will kind of become a problem. So we hang up fly strips, those old fashioned dirty diner,
They look like a film strip.
Yes. And the flies, get caught in the glue. Yeah, I'm sure it's torture and cruel and the fly suffers. But I make them stars because all those fly strips, they go in the show and people think they're props. But they're not. They're
real.
Dead flies. Yeah.
And in a way, they're celebrated.
Exactly. They're like an unpaid actor.
I love it. Tribute.
Yes, exactly.
You can pay, and also upcycling.
Upcycling, exactly. And do you kill flies?
I don't. I swat them away. But I don't like when things squish.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm fearful of cockroaches. Because I feel like if I see one, I feel like they move so fast, but they're on legs. So it's not like they're flying away. They're near you.
Yeah. Some fly.
They say that no matter where you are no more than like 3 feet away from a spider.
Oh.
No matter where you are.
I guess that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I one time in Texas, speaking of flying cockroaches, was doing a music festival where I was introducing bands and I had a big blonde wig on and I was out on stage and the audience was going bananas. And I was like, oh my God, they are fucking living for me. Peaches is a star in Austin. And I, do my whole thing and the audience does not stop screaming and cheering. And I get off the stage and my husband, who hates cockroaches, is staring at me, but looking just above my eyes. And he hits me upside the head so hard. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, there's been a roach crawling around your wig for the entire time that you were out there. That roach was moving back and forth. There's video of this.
I would die.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know, but the video was kind of amazing.
Was it like stuck in
Yes,
the
it flew because they fly in Texas. It flew into my wig and then you see it just sort of, and because it's a blonde, like a platinum wig, you see this roach just crawling all around.
Because it's in the teasing.
Yeah. And what you see, what's so sad is you see me thinking that they're like loving me. So I'm like, oh, I'm just feeling my oats.
Carry
like,
before the bucket.
Oh, I'm like talking more, I'm like extending my little intro. Like, oh, wow, they don't want me to leave the stage,
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But no, there is the roach.
Ew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I see a baby cockroach somewhere, the mother's around somewhere. That means there's a whole bunch hiding
you're
somewhere.
In trouble, yeah.
Yeah, and then if you have a swimming pool, it's like, was it a water beetle? Is it a roach? Did it fly from Texas? What is it? I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to hold a funeral for bugs. I don't think.
Me
I do
neither.
admire it, but I don't think I'm going to do that.
No, I mean, for effort for anyone who has the time to do it, but yeah.
Okay, let's read another letter.
Okay.
Dear Delta and Spooky Ookie guest, AI boyfriends, what's your take on this? Anthropomorphizing AI is becoming more common. Instagram has no shortage of ads for paid services that will customize a partner for you, and they're getting really indistinguishable from actual human beings. I caught my partner, who's in his early 30s, creating male characters in scantily clad outfits on ChatGPT. Seems harmless, but it's a step in a direction I don't quite understand as someone who's in his mid-40s and as someone wary of AI and its potential to end human civilization. Anyhow, is this weird? Am I being uptight or a Luddite? Or is this furthering the demise of actual human interaction? Kindest regards, Justin Cuffley from Bethesda, Maryland.
I know Bethesda, Maryland
You
quite
do?
well, yeah. That is a really great question.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if the answer is different depending on maybe generations. Because for me, I'm like, yeah, like if I were to know that someone was creating a boyfriend on AI, that would raise red flags, But I totally get what he's saying about like, well, am I just being a Luddite? Maybe this is the way. But I'm more of the mindset of like, oh no, we're hurtling towards disaster. And this is really scary stuff. This is like a sci-fi horror movie that's come to life. And now we're here. So I'm much more doom and gloom. And I think the idea of the AI, I think the robots are going to, we're not that smart. I think they're going to figure out that humans are our own worst enemies. And it's not going to take them long to figure out how to get rid of us.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. People play with baby dolls, right?
True.
It's not a real baby, but
children do. What
Chil-
you would probably think strangely about an adult who walked around with a baby doll.
have you been in my office? No, that's true. Have you ever seen those people that have those creepy babies that lean against the wall like this?
Yes.
That is so scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing about AI is, I don't know if you ever look at like porn sites or you come across the ads that'll say like I don't know, whatever, men.com is free or whatever the thing is. Sometimes they'll advertise stuff that like, I just don't know why people think that's sexy. There was one where it was a lady, it was a commercial, and it looked like she was sucking someone's dick, but it wasn't, it was a dildo. And she was like, meet me on Cam Soda. What the fuck is Cam Soda? Why would it be called Cam Soda? What's sexy about sodas?
That is a good question. I don't know, but I do know what you're talking about as far as those sorts of ads where it's kind of insightful where you go like, well, that's an ad for a reason.
Right.
Like, I'm here to look at my kink or whatever my thing is.
And you think I want to see that.
And you think I want to see that. But that means someone wants to see. I saw one the other day where it was a dildo that was shaped like what are they called from Stranger Things? The Demogorgon, the monsters that look like flowers.
Okay.
So it was like that. And it was like opening up like this. And she's like putting it up to her and, it's eating her out kind of, And and I'm into horror. And I was like,
I'm into horror.
Yeah, there's a market for this. Like there's women who are like fierce.
Right. Like,
yeah.
I need a flower to eat me out.
Yeah, exactly. A monster flower.
I need a flower to eat me out. Meet me on Cam Soda.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh.
Or the guys that stick the tubes in the urethras and,
God.
electric
Sounding?
Yes.
How is that?
Just, I mean, I'm like very into whatever. I think maybe I'm vanilla.
Well, I feel like, wouldn't that rip you in some way?
It would seem like it would really hurt.
They say all the skin in that area is more gentle than the skin around your eye.
Oof.
Can you even fucking imagine?
No.
I always think like, what if I got into an accident and then they said, oh, you're very ill.
Mm-hmm.
We have to catheterize you.
Mm-hmm.
Just let me pee. Just let me pee everywhere. Honestly, who cares?
Yeah.
I'll pee on you just to give you a clue.
I mean, at least if it's a medical procedure and it's being handled by professionals, but this is just people like who are just doing it themselves at home. Like,
and listen, we by no means, we are two people you can absolutely trust to not kink shame anyone. We are here for it. I don't kink shame. I don't
kink shame either.
No.
I don't. I mean,
I misunderstand.
The other thing, okay, this is like a totally non sequitur, but it reminds me of things that happen when you're horny and you're alone and you're looking at porn and, you see something like that where you're like, oof, and it can really change the mood. The other thing that's happened to me multiple times, not as much now that I'm older, but you'll be, watching a movie and it's someone's body parts and then that camera pulls out to the wide shot and it's a friend of yours. And you're like, oh no. Oh no. And it's like a drag queen,
Yeah.
And I'm not yucking anyone's yum, but I don't need to see my drag sister getting pounded.
Right.
And
it happens
a lot. Yeah.
I say if it turns you on and nobody's getting hurt and everyone has agreed, go for it. I'm just saying there are many things where I'm like, I don't think that would work for me.
Yeah, but you want to get fucked by a clown.
Now, are you a clown who's been fucked as a clown?
No. And, I have many friends that really enjoy it. The late, great Heclina was very unapologetically sexual with her. She's very interested in straight guys. And I'm telling you, the biggest secret in the world is that straight guys don't need a lot. They really don't. They need a wig and some fake tits, and you could be a linebacker, and it's enough, And because Heclina, God rest her soul, she wasn't a beauty. You know what I mean? Like wasn't a femme gentle creature.
Mm-hmm.
She and I are big clowny, campy drag queens. She turned the hottest tricks, but I can't because for me, this is the least sexual I feel ever.
But here's what it is.
Yeah.
We determined this a long time ago. This is just from our experience, is we would be at clubs like in the 90s. We would always work at this place called Peanuts in LA. Viva Sex had her show there, and I talk about it all the time because I have such fond memories of that time. And you sort of keep certain people the way that they were then, and as time changes, they don't change with the times. So you just kind of try to keep them where they were.
Yes.
Which I think maybe other people think is ignorant or is too soft or whatever, but it's the only way I can function is to just try to remember them there.
Yes.
But we always thought, gosh, the most beautiful girls are here. But these bricks, I mean, I'm talking.
Yeah.
We're turning the hottest guys ever there. And what was it? And they said, for some of them, they just want to be able to get them out of it.
Right.
They want it off because they want to know what they really wanted is they couldn't just walk up to what they thought was quote unquote a guy, but they knew that was a guy and they knew, oh, you probably look like me or you probably look. So they wanted to be able to buffer it in many ways.
I think that's true because Heclina would tell me about regulars who then she would say, I don't feel like getting in drag. And then they would say, oh, it's okay. And that's what it is.
A girl who was fully functional for mutual release. And Heclina was that girl.
Oh, and Heclina taught others. I remember Heclina teaching Lady Bunny, how to do all this. And it becomes such an obsession for some of them.
I believe that you probably had a pair of single-soled pleaser shoes and a Leg Avenue catsuit.
Me?
You had to.
I will say this. I was fascinated by anyone who would hit on me when I was in drag because I'm like, really? Wow. But it's not that I wouldn't be attracted to them. It's more that I just don't I don't feel horny at all when I'm in drag.
Because you're all gussied up.
And I feel like people don't realize it sucks a lot of it, and if you design a character that relies on you wearing a waist cincher and, tons of pairs of tights and all this crap, it's like, I don't, this is not sexy for me. That being said, and you probably remember there was a time where the internalized homophobia amongst gay men meant that in order for me to hook up, I had to de-drag my apartment. I had to live in the closet.
Oh, yes.
I had to there could be no sense that I was. So in a way, I actually feel like it's actually fiercer to hook up and drag because it's less sort of shameful or hateful. And when I look back on, my years of tricking and hiding the wigs, that kind of all went out the window when social media came along and, I post pictures of myself out of drag and, but for a while I was very secretive about my two identities.
No, that's true. I don't think anyone's ever really talked about that on the show, but that's very true that sort of hiding the drag.
Yeah. One time there was this trick who saw a poster that was still on my fridge from Midnight Mass and he was leaving and we had the best sex. I mean, it was like, when you go more than once, it's more than just a hookup. And we talked, which is, we told each other what our names were. I mean, this was intimacy. And, he's leaving after, 3 or 4 hours and he's in the doorway and he sees my fridge and he goes, oh, Peaches Christ. I like Peaches Christ. Are you a fan of Peaches Christ?
Oh,
and in that moment, you have to make a decision, right? And so I go, yeah, I like her, And then he says to me, my friend was blown by her. And I'm like, oh, really? And he was like, on that bus trip she does to Reno, because Heclina and I used to bring drag queens to Reno every year. And I was the den mother on these buses. And I was like, no. She didn't blow your friend on a bus. And he was like, yeah, she did. She went to the back of the bus in drag and blew my friend. And he said it was great. And I was like, no, that never happened. And then the guy's getting defensive because of course it seems weird. Like, who the fuck am I? And he's like, well, how would you know? And I mustered my best Joan Crawford. Well, the reason I know your friend wasn't blown by Peaches Christ on the bus is because you were just blown by Peaches Christ. Good night, and then shut the door and then looked through the little peephole, and saw him and then I got a really nice email from him later saying I'm so embarrassed. I'm a big fan of your work.
Did he come back?
Yeah, we hooked up again.
Of course.
But that was a decision I had to make. Yeah. And my first reaction was to not tell him it was me, but then of course he pushed me to the limit. My friend was blown by Peaches Christ.
Now you're just lying.
Yeah, he was lying. A lot of people lie about us right to our faces.
Fucking asshole.
Have you ever had someone say, I'm friends with Delta Work?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, where you're like someone trying to get in a ticket or, and they're saying it right to my face. I'm friends with Peaches Christ. I should be on the list. And I'm like, oh, really?
I was at the airport one time and I had on my Mom Productions shirt, for here. And this girl came up to me and she was like, I bet you don't even know what that means. I said, I'm sorry, what? She's like, I bet you don't even know what that means. What are you, just a fan? And I was like, no, I know what it means. She's like, really? Well, what is it then? I mean, she was really, but she looked completely like that person. And I hate to say who it was, but because it wasn't a Karen. It was, the call was coming within our own community.
Right.
But it was that girl.
And the other thing that's hilarious is like, you weren't disguising your voice and you've been on TV out of drag. like, hello. Yeah.
Do you have a girl voice?
I mean, I think that when I used to, I think more, not so much a girl voice, but more like this is my campy Peaches voice, welcome to Midnight Mass or whatever. I less so now, especially with podcasts and other things. But I know I'm talking a lot about Heclina, but this is her arena. And, we were best friends for so long. And I said to her once, what is your name when you're doing this? She was like, Stephanie.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah, because her name was Stefan.
No, not Stephanie.
So her name was Stephanie. And then I was like, so when they get to your place, do you open the door for them? She's like, no, because she's big, right? And, she's like, no, I leave the door open. And then she had a long hallway that led down to her studio, the bedroom and the living room. She said, I just tell them to, come in. And I said, oh, well, do you have a voice that you do? And she did it for me. And it was amazing.
Really?
I mean, because it was like, come in. I can't even do it. It was so not Heclina. You know what I mean? And I was like, this is amazing.
I love it. She created the fantasy.
She created Stephanie. Yeah.
Fina Barbital likes to come up to me out of nowhere and she'll go, how long have you been dressing? Because we saw this documentary one time about cross-dressers, like cross-dressing.
Yes.
Which, for people that are maybe not within the community, it's not all the same.
Right.
It is, but it's not.
Right.
But we're a big umbrella.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
We got room for everybody. Anyway, there was this person on there who was identified as a straight cross-dresser, and he was talking about going to gather-ups or meetups, and he would say, some of the girls like to wear kitten heel, and some of the girls like to wear a thigh-high boot. Some of the girls like to wear a mini skirt, and some of the girls like to wear a long skirt with a slit. Some of the girls. And so everything is some of the girls.
Amazing.
Some of the girls. And so anyway, Fina will always sit down and go, how long have you been dressing? So uncomfortable.
It is fascinating though that like you say, we're all under this umbrella and there are all these differences.
Right.
And we in the community understand the differences. But if you're smart, you also understand that I'm going to get bashed for the same reasons that person's going to get bashed. So I kind of miss in some ways the 90s when it was more about like, we have a common enemy and all of us are sisters. And that guy might even be married to a woman, but he dresses in a mini skirt for the weekends. And because we're going to get beat up for the same reasons, let's all go hang out at the same place. I miss that.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you for being here. This is so fun.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
Super fun. Today on Very Delta, we learned that old maids aren't just corny, they're savory. We'll see you next week, and until then, keep things very scary, Delta. Very Delta is produced by Moguls of Media, aka Mom. Hosted by Delta Work. Produced and edited by Doug Robertson. Technical direction by Danielle Mitchell. With original theme music by Will Pitts. Media and design support by Stone Cold. And set design by Eris Sevilla. Executive produced by Alaska, Willem, Big Dipper, Camille Stennis, and Joe Cilio. Recorded at Forever Dog Productions.
Mom!
Watch Very Delta uncensored, ad-free, and a day early by subscribing to Mom Plus Gold. Sign up today at mompodcast.plus for premium content, including weekly episodes of More Very Delta.